Daniel, the other thing about all of this is the voice. It's a misnomer because I understand they're talking about a group of about 24 people. We don't know who they are. We don't know who votes for them. Is there going to be a roll call of who's entitled to vote for the voice? 24 of them.
Well, that's right, Alan. Who are they? And the other key point is that this will simply mean more politicians in Canberra. I mean, I don't think the solution to the vast challenges in Indigenous communities and also across remote Australia, no matter your background, is going to be solved by more politicians in Canberra and more bureaucracy in Canberra, because that's what the voice will be. You can be assured that there will be thousands of more public servants, hundreds of millions or billions of more dollars spent in programs. Tragically, the lack of education, the poor health outcomes, the issues with violence in communities, they're not going to be resolved by another bureaucratic body in Canberra. We know what helps people get out of poverty. It's work, it's having a good education, it's having crime-free suburbs, and it's having access to critical services. We don't need more politicians in Canberra to tell us that. What we need is governments to get on with the job.
Yeah, and this is what Senator Price now, Jacinta Price, has said. You and I have spoken to her often, wonderful lady, and she said nothing in this does anything to alleviate the problems faced by Indigenous Australians in the Northern Territory, which she knows backwards. On the contrary, whenever she seeks to raise these issues, no one wants to listen to her.
That's right. It's ironic we're talking about a voice for Indigenous Australians, but one of the most prominent voices, not just for Indigenous Australians, but I think for our whole country, Jacinta Price, is often shut down by those very people who say Indigenous Australians need a louder voice. So they're not looking for a voice for Indigenous Australians. They're looking for a certain kind of voice. And you can bet your bottom dollar that it's going to be wealthy inner city activists that are going to be playing a key role in this voice, including those that are representing the voice in Canberra. It's not going to be those out in suburbs and regions. It's going to be another body full of inner city wealthy elites.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question. As we speak at the moment, this may change, but they've already committed themselves. The big corporates, media, by and large, almost all of them, headline media, editorialising in the major newspapers and on television. So big corporates, big media, big celebrities, big sporting organisations have already, I venture to say they haven't even read this document of the Parliament, but they've already committed themselves to supporting the voice and they're advocating support for the voice. How do we turn this around? How do we get these people half informed?
Well, the way we do it, Alan, is through programs like this and ADH. You've got to download the app to make sure you don't get cancelled and you can keep watching it. But don't forget, this is not dissimilar to what happened in 1999 Republic referendum, where almost every single major institution of our society was in favour of the Republic, including almost every single major newspaper, for example. But the Australian people saw through that campaign. This has similarities to that. I think this is going to be more difficult, but don't forget, there are a lot of people speaking out against the voice, whether it's Senator Jacinta Price, whether it's former Prime Minister Tony Abbott, whether it's yourself, Alan. There's many speaking out against it. So our task is to keep going and not to take a backward step or be intimidated by these, big corporate inner city woke elites.
Good on you. Brilliant. And we'll keep talking about it. It won't be a one-off issue here because I know from the correspondence I'm getting, people are saying keep at it, and we will keep at it. This is not good for Australia. It's not good for Indigenous Australia, and it's not good for those people who are just out there behind the west of the Great Dividing Range who have no representation at all. So, Daniel, great to talk to you. Thank you for the work you're doing. Daniel Wild, articulate, always well-informed, the Deputy Executive Director of the Institute of Public Affairs. And we won't be going away on this issue. In Australia's interest, we can't afford to.